Greetings, my friends, and welcome back to the channel. As you know, I am Pastor Emeritus Reverend Ron L. Spradley of Covenant of Grace Ministries. Today, we're going to continue with our teaching with this prophetic soundbite. We've been in this eschatology series, which we know is the doctrine of last things. Now, many ask the question, Pastor, why are you covering this particular topic at this time? Well, the reason I'm covering this topic at this time, because this is an area in the Christian faith in which I believe it's been undertaught, and I believe there exists a lack of understanding in this process and how this works. So that's why I'm teaching this eschatology series, so we can deal with the doctrine of last things, so we can increase our understanding. Now, as I was talking, we were in this series on the process of salvation, and we got to the section of this series where I transitioned from that series to this series. If you remember, we were dealing with death, the intermediate state, and the glorified bodies when we were talking about the doctrine of salvation. So I've kind of blended this together and moved into this eschatology series. So the last time I was up, we talked about the law of sin and death. We dealt with death. And today we've dealt with spiritual death. We've dealt with physical death. Today I want to deal with the intermediate state. All right, so let's move into today's teaching. The intermediate state was when we transition from the physical body, right? We leave the physical body with continual conscious existence. We remain conscious, okay? Continual conscious existence. I want to emphasize that. And we move into the spirit world, and this is prior. That's why we call it intermediate, because it's prior to receiving our glorified bodies. So I'm going to go into the scriptural basis for what I'm teaching on today. And we're going to start with Luke 9:38 through 33. And it came to pass around 8 days after these sayings, he took Peter and John and James and went up into the mountain to pray. And as he prayed, the fashion of his countenance was altered, and his raiment was like white and glistering. Behold, there talked with him two men, which were what? Moses and Elijah, who appeared in glory and spake of his decease, which he should accomplish at Jerusalem. But Peter and they that were with him were what? Heavy with sleep. And when they were awake, they saw his glory and the two men that stood with him. And it came to pass as they departed from him, Peter said unto Jesus, Master, it is good for us here. Let us make 3 tabernacles, one for thee, one for Moses, and one for Elijah, not knowing what he said. So we see here Christ was transfigured. Okay, he had 3 people that witnessed this transfiguration. So he transfigured into what? A spiritual intermediate state, right? Our scriptural basis. Let's continue. Luke 16:19 through 31. And there was a certain rich man which was clothed in purple and fine linen and fared sumptuously every day. And there was a certain beggar named Lazarus, which was laid at his feet, full of sores, and desiring to be fed with the crumbs which fell from the rich man's table. Moreover, the dogs came and licked his sores. It came to pass that the beggar died and was carried by the angels into Abraham's bosom. So we see a physical death here, but we see continued existence because he was carried by the angels into Abraham's bosom. The rich man also died. We have taught you that death is universal and it's the great equalizer. It comes to all men. So the beggar died, the rich man died and was buried, and in hell, okay, continued conscious existence. He wasn't a believer, so he went to hell. In hell, he lifted up his eyes, being in torment. So there's still conscious existence here. And seeing Abraham afar off and Lazarus in his bosom, he cried and said, Father Abraham, have mercy on me and send Lazarus. He wants to send Lazarus, the beggar, who he wouldn't even give the crumbs off his table. Send Lazarus that he may dip the tip of his finger into water and cool my tongue. You see this continual torment and suffering. He's still conscious. For I am tormented in this flame. But Abraham said, Son, remember that thou in thy lifetime received thy good things, and likewise Lazarus evil things. But now he is comforted, and thou art tormented. And besides all this, between us and you, there is a great gulf fixed. So they which would pass from hence to you cannot, neither can they pass to us that would come from thence. Then he said, I pray thee, therefore, Father, that thou wouldst send him to my father's house, for I have 5 brethren, that he may testify unto them, lest they should also come to this place of torment. Abraham said unto him, they have Moses and the prophets, okay? And today you have the ministers of the gospel. Let them hear them. And he said, Nay, Father Abraham, but if one went unto them from the dead, they will repent. And he said unto him, if they hear not Moses and the prophets, neither will they be persuaded, though one rose from the dead. So we see, in both cases, we see continual conscious existence by both. One went to Abraham's bosom, the other was tormented in the lake of fire. Okay? And now we also see the emphasis and the importance that we listen to the preaching of the gospel. This is our way to salvation. Let's look at some key principles here. The intermediate state, which we just saw in these 2 scriptures, is isolation from earthly existence with continual conscious existence. The intermediate state foreshadows our final glorification. We know our final glorification doesn't take place until Christ returns. All right, my brothers and sisters, we thank you for your time. We hope this teaching has been helpful to your understanding. We ask that you take care until we have another opportunity to bring you a word once again. God bless you.